You're talking about being in LA and being hungry, and I know that feeling as well. And I'm wondering how important that feeling is, or maybe how important it is to have limitations as a filmmaker. Because sometimes we think if we had unlimited budget and if we had unlimited time and we had all the time and resources in the world, we could make the best movie possible. But sometimes you just got to scrap it out.
Every time you
Every
scrap every shoot, you scrap it out. I think to the best way to stay hungry is to know that you're not doing it for you. Even if you have a dream of making a film of some kind, it's you have to have the mindset of it's selfish for you to not make it because people need it. Like our Dr. Seuss film made so many people cry and like changed lives and people watch it like every day. And so when you think about our egos can get in our own way where yeah, we're just like don't feel like the project is worthy of our time, but it's like, well, the project's not even for us. It is for us, but it's not. So I think that's a good reminder to like stay hungry. It's like, oh, well, people need you. Um and it's a good reminder to like make content that is ideally transformational and not just like I don't want to make horror movies, but I guess people still need horror movies as an escape. But I mean, today for people who are like having writer's block in terms of filmmaking, my advice is just you can't you just have to commit and say you're going to shoot it, and you have to be willing to let go of perfection, and you have to be able to get messy. But then when you actually start shooting it, all you do is your best, and then actually your best turns out to be your vision, and you're like, holy crap, I actually did the vision. It's crazy finishing or editing a film and being and having an idea for how it's going to look, and then suddenly in the end it's like, wow, this looks exactly like how I imagined it, or better. It's almost every time I've shot, and you just have to like show up and try hard and persevere when shit gets difficult and your generator gets stolen and the cops shut you down, and because that'll all happen. Or Burning Man,
Yeah,
there's a whiteout,
there's a bit of
dust, hard
Murphy's
drive
law.
fails.
There's a bit of Murphy's law. You have to be prepared for filmmaking. Like things that can go wrong will go wrong.
Yeah. And then that you won't even expect are amazing. Like, holy shit, there's a rainbow and a flock of
Yeah,
birds flying in the background of our final shot, and you're just like, wow, this is magic.
yeah.
Yeah.
Magic can happen either direction.
Yeah.
Unexpected magic can happen in either direction.
But it does help to have a team. Like, you got to get excited with a team and like accountability and like setting dates. I think that's key because then you got to like have some momentum or else you'll quit. But if you like start that momentum and say, "Hey, okay, all of us are going to do this and we're going to do this in April," like I'm not ready, but I have to get ready.
Yeah.
Yeah. And clients help too, but I'm sick of
Having
working for clients.
deadlines.
A client having someone paying for it, you have to deliver. Yeah.
Somebody I was talking to said the word deadline's pretty intense. What's a
You're
new
going to be
word?
dead if you don't cross the line.
You will be dead if you don't cross the line. Is there a more positive, motivating way to say that? It's your lifeline. It's your completion
Nope.
date. It's
You're going to
no, it's
die.
a deadline.
You have to act like it's your
You need to have the
it's
fear of death in you.
it's crazy. I had like a near death experience this past year, and as I was in it, all I could think about was my film hasn't been finished. Like I'm gonna let down a whole team of people and actors and producers and people who helped me film. Like that's the biggest tragedy. Like to be dead before crossing that line. It was literally my number one. It was funny. It was like my taxes aren't finished and my film's not finished. And I literally thought I was dying. And that was my concern.
Oh my God.
Pretty wild.
Wow.
Maybe that's why they call it a deadline. Because you don't want to die having an unfinished film. And there's so many people who are in that perfectionism and shoot stuff and edit it 80% and then never finish it, which is sad. But that's because they don't have a deadline.
Damn, that gives a whole
Or
new perspective to deadline.
yeah. Yeah, it was
You don't
wild.
want to die without having this thing be completed.
I mean that's the thing. Like that's what I tell myself as a filmmaker. Like I don't want to die without having made at least one feature, and I still haven't made a feature yet. And like I've had near death moments where I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm alive. Like what the fuck am I doing? I need to hurry up and make that feature. Like I can function right now and one day I won't be able to function." And yeah, it's like you got to not take it for granted the fact that you can do all that now. And I feel like I'm getting close to that. I'm so over making stuff for clients right now, I guess. Like because of our
Well,
last project.
yeah. I mean that's a good segue. I was going to ask you, like, what's a dream project that you want to work on? I don't know if you want to go into like
I mean,
specifics, but you said, yeah, making a feature film.
so for me, my dream is to be making films. Like when I look at like my 40s, 50s, 60s in terms of age, my ideal life is that I have a family and I make one movie a year, or maybe two, or maybe or one every 2 years. Or if they're big enough, every few years, like James Cameron's crazy, like one movie every 10 years. But that way I can show up for my family, but also then like go hyper deep into one creative project. And specifically for me, those films would be somewhat action oriented, somewhat science fiction fantasy oriented, where it bends reality and we can get lost in something that's more imaginative than typical. Which, if you look at my work, that's kind of who I am. Um, Even my name, Teddy, I think has like a playful kind of magic aspect to it. So that's my dream. Like I have two scripts I've written. One literally the main character figures out a formula to slow down time, and then later in the movie he gets a disease where he can't recognize people's faces. So it plays with like who is who. So there's all this like magic happening. And then another movie that I haven't written is a movie where the first human brain gets put into a robot consciousness, and then that robot basically becomes the internet, becomes the earth, and goes on this epic quest. And it's almost like Star Wars. You like jump time. And I'm so excited to write that because just thinking what will life be like 500 years from now is such an imaginative thing to convey in a film or in a script. So that's where I'm aiming to be.